Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our weekly Tuesday morning call. We have a very, very robust agenda today, lots of speakers. We're going to get a vaccine and health update from Larry Johnson from the Health Department. We're going to hear from our friends at Senator Gary Peters' office. We're going to get an update on the great work of the Small Business Development Center from our local consultant, Sheryl Peterson. And then we're also going to hear from our good friend, Gary Jones from Governor Whitmer's office, who has a few updates as well. So a very, very large agenda today. We'll try to keep her moving. As usual, I do want to start with a vaccine update and a health department update. Larry, I think I told you last time on this call, you're probably our most frequent guest here over the past year. And obviously, vaccines, the health situation is top of mind for everybody. So want to give you the first opportunity to jump in. What's the latest?
Can you hear me, Justin?
Yep, you're good, Larry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got off mute there. Great. Well, good morning, everyone. It's great to be back again. As Justin said, I'm kind of a frequent flyer on these calls. We'll start with we got a mix of news this week. Some bad, some good. I'll get the bad out of the way first. You're probably all aware you've been following the case numbers. Unfortunately, it looks like we're in a third wave. So we've been trending upward over the last 4 weeks. Last week we reported out 205 new cases. I'm assuming this week is going to be a little bit higher than that even. So we had gotten all the way down to 43 cases on February 24th. Well, last week it was 205 week over week new cases. So, why is that happening? Probably a combination of things. I think there's some pandemic fatigue with everyone. I think maybe some have let their guard down a little bit. We are seeing some cases involving school athletics that's been widely publicized. And we also have the variant here now in Shiawassee County and probably everywhere else in the state of Michigan, which is more transmissible. So the number I'm looking at closely is the hospitalizations. And that number jumped way up last week. So they went from 2 to 17 at Memorial. And the latest numbers I had yesterday were 17 hospitalized, 3 in the ICU. And the age range went all the way down to the 30s. So, that's concerning when you're starting to see the younger folks have to be hospitalized. The good news is the older folks are responding to the vaccine, getting vaccinated, and have not been as many of the cases. So we started with the priority groups, and obviously the 65 and older was a main priority. So that's some good news. So we're watching that. But we don't want to give up when we're so close to the finish line. And the finish line, really the ticket to crossing the finish line is the vaccine. And so let me give you some good news now on the updates with the vaccine. As of yesterday, April 5th, all Michigan residents age 16 and older are eligible for the vaccine. So this is now an expansion to anyone who wants the vaccine that's over 16 can get it. And for the 16 and 17-year-olds, they're only eligible for the Pfizer vaccine, which we haven't seen a lot of Pfizer in our county, except for maybe the hospital got some early on in some of the pharmacies. So I am myself picking up a load of Pfizer vaccine today to run a clinic in partnership with Memorial for our 16 and 17-year-olds coming up this week. So if you have 16 and 17-year-olds that want to get on our list to get vaccinated, obviously use our online registration form and please specify that. We've already got pretty good interest. I think we filled the clinic for this week, but we will be getting more. So some good news there. Also, the vaccines coming into the county are increasing pretty steadily, and that's good. We started off in pretty what I would consider poor shape, but the numbers are increasing. So far, the health department's received 15,300 vaccines out of a total of 21,000 that have come into our county. We've 19,746 residents have received at least a first dose, and 10,213 have received their second dose of the 2-dose, either Moderna or Pfizer. And we added another about 1,000 that have received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is a 1-dose vaccine, for a total of 11,184 that have either had their second dose or the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So we're tracking the state's numbers at about 35% of our target population, which is right in line with what the state's at right now. Our target population is around 56,000. So we're doing good there. And then we did receive a shipment of Johnson & Johnson, and we're planning an upcoming Johnson & Johnson clinic. So if you have an interest in getting the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine, I would encourage you, and I sent Justin a couple email links this morning for you to look at. I would encourage you to sign up and register with us, and then specify in the notes section that you want Johnson & Johnson, and we'll get you into an upcoming clinic for that. We are also using the Johnson & Johnson for our homebound population and some senior citizens that are still in need of vaccine, because it's easier to only have to go to these out to the homebound once and get them vaccinated. So we have started that process with our partners, and that is going well also. So it's a little bit of mix of news today. You know, I just want to tell people to kind of just, we're almost there. We're going to get through this thing. So, you know, but we are seeing a little bit of a third wave here, and that's concerning. And, you know, spring break, we just coming off that now for the county. So we're going to see how that shakes down in our numbers. There was a free testing event last Saturday at Corunna School's Bus Garage. It was well attended. I think they did 139 tests. That was a free pop-up testing site. 119 were negative, 20 were positive. And so that allowed us to identify some cases. And that was coming out of spring break, but yet it was still during the spring break week. So lots going on right now. We're real busy. The health department's running, I think we're running 2 or 3 clinics this week. The pharmacies have received some direct shipment, and they're getting vaccine out to people that have signed up with them. Obviously, Memorial Healthcare is being a big partner with us. So things are moving, things are happening. You know, but I just want to get us across the finish line, and we want to just keep pushing along here. We're going to get through this, and I'm hoping for a better summer. So that's my update. I'll take a few questions.
Thank you, Larry. Always appreciate the update and the great work that you and your team do. Does anyone have any questions for Larry? If you do, let's jump on it right now. Anyone have any questions? Hit *6 on your phone, please. Okay. And I did, Larry, get your email. I'm going to send that out to everybody. The sign-up form on there, and I know you indicated that if there was interest in Johnson & Johnson, to note that too. So thank you, Larry. Always appreciate you coming on and appreciate the partnership.
Appreciate it,
what's that, Larry?
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I want to turn our attention now to a federal update. Very thankful. We have a few representatives actually here today from Senator Peters' office. We have a great collaborative working relationship with them, and I wanted to have them come on to give an update about what's going on in Washington and what's relevant to stakeholders here in Shiawassee County. So I know we've got Nicole, our regional director, who I work with very closely, Carly, and then Josh as well from the team. So I don't know how you guys want to tag team this, but I'll open the floor to Peter's team, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, this is Nicole. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity for us to be able to join you this morning. I'm actually just going to hand this right over to Josh. I know he's got a few updates that he can provide from the American Rescue Plan, and I'll make sure, Justin, too, that you've got everybody's contact information that you can share with folks for any follow-up communications.
Super. Thanks. Josh?
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Justin. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. So I'm just going to go through a super quick, I think maybe 10-ish minute rundown of what we've done with the American Rescue Plan, and also what we're teeing up with the American Jobs Plan. So I know they're very similar, but two different federal initiatives. One has already been passed into law, and the other one is just right now a proposal. So I'll start with what's been done. I think unless you live under a rock, you're aware that President Biden signed the American Rescue Plan Act into law mid-March, included a number of very significant pieces of relief for Michiganders of all swaths, whether it's individuals, families, small businesses, state and local governments, et cetera. Some of the highlights, obviously, the first big one is the $1,400 checks. And that was, to most Americans, provided a typical family of four, $5,600. There is $170 billion for support for schools that does include $130 billion to better respond to student needs, implement the resources needed to comply with public health protocols. I think we're all on the same page here. We'd love to see schools open up. We want to make sure that they can open up safely. The package also provided an additional $300 per week for all workers receiving unemployment benefits extended through September 6th. And also wanted to make sure that everybody knows that those making less than $150,000 and receiving those benefits will not have to pay taxes on the first $10,200 that they receive. So this extension, which my boss fought hard for, and the inclusion in the CARES Act originally all the way back in March 2020, this extension is going to cover millions of Americans that are currently still without a job. Things are getting better, but we're, as I think you said, well, we're not out of this yet. So we want to make sure that there's some provisions included to extend the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which also expands eligibility to self-employed workers. That's something we hear from a lot that I think is not highlighted as it should be. Some other things included in the bill, there's more support for small businesses and tweaks to the Paycheck Protection Program. It also adds more money for the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, which we are, fingers crossed, is supposed to be rolling out either this week or next week. We also had $25 billion for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, which I know is a huge thing for a lot of restaurants in Michigan. And so that will also hopefully be rolled out this month as well. There's also $15 billion for the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan Advance Grants, also known as EIDL. There's $25 billion for rental assistance, $300 million in funding for firefighters and other emergency responders. There's strengthening oversight of pandemic relief funds. And then the last thing that I really want to highlight and kind of dig into, because I know it's of big interest, is the money for state and local governments. So, the legislation provided $350 billion in emergency funding for state, local, and territorial governments to help them continue essential services and retain critical public servants, such as police officers, firefighters, EMTs, and teachers. And so within that, Michigan will see over $10 billion for those state and local governments. The way that it's broken down is about $5.5 billion, $5.66 billion to be specific for the state government, $1.78 billion for 37 different large cities, $686 million for nearly 1,500 small cities, townships, and villages, and $1.94 billion for 83 counties. So obviously that is a serious, windfall for a lot of folks. I know that Shiawassee County is projected to get somewhere around $13.2 million. And I know the good folks in Michigan State, my alma mater, put together a study of exactly how this is going to impact, different counties. And they estimated that Shiawassee County alone will see an additional 340 jobs, an extra $28 million in labor income, and an extra $51 million in regional income. So that's obviously something that we're very excited about. My boss has been a strident supporter of getting money to cash-strapped communities that are, really going through this through no fault of their own. Also included some key provisions that you can use that money for lost revenue that we know that has been a huge, huge deal for states and local governments. So that is something we're very excited about as well. So I think that'll wrap up the kind of 5-minute overview of what we did with the American Rescue Plan. And I'll quickly touch on what we believe is going to be the sort of next big thing coming out of Washington. And this is the American Jobs Plan. And this is kind of the president was basically said, let's, focus on COVID-19. We got a huge relief package out. We have, we're moving in the right direction with vaccines. And so now what's next? And so he's turned his attention to 4 major components that we're going to try to address. One is how we move. So that'll be investments in roads, bridges, rail, other transportation infrastructure. The second is how we live at home. So that's investments in broadband, water, power, housing, and buildings. The third is how we care for one another. That's investments in home and community-based care for older family members and people with disabilities. And the fourth is how we make things. So that's investments in manufacturing, next-gen research and development, high-quality workforce development, and critical supply chains. So those are the four sort of big buckets that the president has put forth as what he'd like to see come out of Congress. And that's pretty much, as of right now, the only thing that we know is going to be specifically in this package. We're already hearing from some folks in our caucus that, some of the pay-fors are a little too expensive, or some of the scope of the legislation is a little too broad. But, we know that a lot of these things are long overdue, particularly transportation infrastructure, I think, is a really big thing. My boss has been really, he knows that Michigan roads are in need of some fixing. And I think our governor obviously knows that as well. And so this plan, at least the way that the president has put forth, would invest $620 billion in transportation infrastructure to modernize 20,000 miles of highways, roads, and main streets. And it will fix, a significant number of bridges. I think the number of repairs that they estimate will be done in this plan is about 10,000 different smaller bridges. And there's also a lot of stuff about, electric vehicle sort of bolstering. There's going to be building a new network of chargers and electrifying some of our fleet, including yellow buses. So that's something exciting as well. We know we would like those, to be done here in Michigan. We were very excited about that. How we're living at home, just quickly. So that's, a significant investment in broadband, particularly. I know that is something that's really important to rural Michigan. So another $650 billion in this plan to invest in broadband, clean water, the electric grid, and the building of high quality affordable housing. So, we know that over 35% of rural Americans currently lack access to broadband. And so that is obviously something that needs to be fixed sooner rather than later. So we're very excited that has a significant piece of this plan. There's also $400 billion for the care economy. So that's, supporting caregiving jobs, expanding access to quality, affordable home or community-based care. And then just quickly, the last one is expanding, as I said, R&D. And this plan, as proposed, again, would invest around $580 billion in R&D, manufacturing, and workforce development. So that's, where we're kind of at right now. There's, again, going to be some tweaks to this. This is nothing more than a proposal from the White House at the moment, but it does seem to be what will line up to be Congress's next big push. So that's all I've got. I know I've been kind of just filibustering and talking for 10 minutes straight or so, but as Nicole mentioned, we're always available and happy to chat. And as this plan, continues to develop and we get more clarity on what exactly the language is going to look like, we'll certainly, communicate those developments. And if you have thoughts and comments and concerns, obviously you could feel free to share with us at any time. So with that, Justin, I will toss it back over to you unless there are any immediate burning questions.
Great. Thank you, Josh. I actually have two real quick, and I do want to open the floor. One is on the current package, and you did touch on both of these already. Any idea when the guidance is going to roll out for this restaurant revitalization fund? You said hopefully in April, but any more specificity on that?
That is the golden egg question, Justin. So we held a roundtable with some folks actually in Michigan as well, talking about RRF, and it's kind of anybody's guess. And we have been in close touch with the Small Business Administration to try and find when exactly they're going to be able to push it out. What we've heard is that they want to get the shuttered venue operator grant system out first, because especially it's been such a large basis for the restaurant fund. And so, as I said, that is supposed to go out sometime either this week or next week. And then hopefully after that, it will be shortly able to roll out the fund. But I wish I had a specific answer, because it's one of the more popular questions that we've gotten recently. And it's just unfortunately one of those questions where I have to answer. I unfortunately don't know beyond the scope of this month.
Okay. And just so you know, I've talked to at least 3 businesses here in our county that are applying for the shuttered venue operator grant. So it is something of value here in Shiawassee. So that's it. And then going forward, you mentioned housing as part of this bill. And for the listeners here today, you all know we have talked extensively about the need for more housing development in Shiawassee County of all levels, from higher income, lower income, middle income, everything. Do you have any specificity on what's being proposed in the housing package?
Yeah, so I think the biggest piece is actually relating around to building, renovating, and retrofitting. So the plan proposes to do that to more than 2 million homes and housing units. And, I think that there's a pretty clear, affordable housing crisis, and that this is going to try and specifically make a dent in that. So the plan would invest $213 billion to do exactly what I just said, to produce, preserve, and retrofit more than 2 million affordable and sustainable places to live. And so this is also going to, apparently what the president would like to see would be done through a lot of targeted tax credits, also formula funding, grants, and project-based rental assistance. And the plan would also extend affordable housing rental opportunities to underserved communities nationwide. Specifically, it also, I know that, so I guess the way that it's kind of broken down would be produce, preserve, retrofit more than 1 million, build and rehabilitate more than 500,000 homes for low and middle income home buyers. So specifically, the president's basically saying, Congress, you should take immediate steps to spur the construction and rehabilitation of homes for underserved communities as well. So he's asking Congress to pass the Neighborhood Homes Investment Act, which would offer about $20 billion worth of tax credits over the next 5 years to result in this approximately 500,000 homes being built. I don't have much beyond the larger scale numbers as to exactly, where those homes would be situated and what exactly would qualify over another. But the fact that the president is really taking an eye to this is we believe really salient as well, just because there is an affordable home crisis, as I said, at the beginning. So, well, it really remains to be seen. So we'll have to be, keeping a very close eye on what the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee wants to do with this. We know that Senator Brown from Ohio, the chairman, has been a staunch supporter of a lot of these affordable housing measures. He had a bill to include $100 billion of rental assistance in the American Rescue Plan, which was pared down a little bit, but that was something that he really fought for. My boss was a co-sponsor of that bill. And so we'll be in very close touch with him to see exactly how it will shake out as well, just because he'll be leading the charge, because we want to make sure that, a lot of those homes go in Michigan. We would like to get as many as we can, but it does remain to be seen exactly where they're going to be spread out. Is that, just want to make sure that everybody heard that.
Yeah, I'm still on.
Okay.
I don't know. Justin, are you still on?
I don't know if Justin might be muted. All right. Well, I guess either if Justin is muted or if we dropped off the call. If there's any other questions from anybody on the call, I'm happy to field them in the next 5 minutes or so. Otherwise, okay. I guess we'll wait to throw it back to Justin.
Yeah, if anybody else is on the call, it's *6 to unmute yourself. Just confirm that we're still live. And
we can still hear you. This is Jody from SEDP. I think Justin did drop off. He's probably trying to get back in now.
Okay, so before we hop off, are there any other calls or questions that folks might have while we're still on the call?
My name is Colleen. I had a question for Justin, although Jody, you might know the answer too. Oh, that's loud.
I'm not sure where this music is coming from. I'm going to try.
I was wondering if I got put on mute.
I'm going to try to mute all again, and then you'll have to do *6 to unmute. Colleen, are you still there?
So,
Okay. Oh, go
I
ahead.
believe there
Okay.
was one more. Sorry, this is Nicole. I believe there was one more question for Josh before we get off the call.
This is Colleen. I'm back. I had a question about the broadband funding. It's actually more towards Justin, and I was just wondering if you've heard anything from Daystar about expansion plans in the county. Do you know if they're doing any new expansion, especially for the rural areas of Shiawassee?
Hey, Colleen, thank you. And I don't know what I missed. The internet booted me off for about a minute or so, so I apologize if someone asked anything and I went silent, but I'm back now. Our friends at Daystar, and I don't know if anyone's on the call from Daystar, they're always looking for expansion opportunities. They've certainly done a tremendous job in delivering broadband and fiber to a lot of areas of our county, certainly the more populated centers. So I think the answer is yes, they're always looking at growth. I think the follow-up, though, is it certainly depends on where. Where's their network? Where's the opportunity? Is there some level of population density? So I would say, Colleen, we can certainly get in touch if you have a specific need. I'm assuming you're probably thinking about where you live.
Yes, we're outside of their reach right now, and I think the last time we asked them about 5 years ago, they said we're just not populated enough to make it cost effective for them.
Gotcha. I'll check with them. I'll see if they're getting any closer down there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So like I said, I got disconnected. I don't know. Is there any other questions or comments at this point for Josh or the Peters team? Okay. Well, Josh, Nicole, Carly, thank you for being on today. Thank you certainly for all that you do. We definitely appreciate the collaboration, and do share with us any updates that you have from Washington, and we'll be happy to share those with our stakeholders here in Shiawassee. So I appreciate you being on today.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you, Josh. Okay. Well, talking about some of these small business programs, I want to turn it over to Sheryl Peterson. Many of you know Sheryl. She's done an amazing job over the past year. She's done an amazing job for many years now in this role, but serving businesses over the past year, answering a lot of questions, a lot of technical questions for businesses as they relate to the different tools and programs that are out there. So I thought it'd be good to have Sheryl come on today and give an update about what she's working on and some of the programs and offerings that SBDC has right now to help small business. So Sheryl, go ahead.
Thank you, Justin, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to share with you 3 programs that SBDC has made available right now. They may not be directly related to you, but you may know someone that they will touch, and so please feel free to share this information, or you can have them reach out to me. During the as a part of the CARES Act, SBDC received some funding to provide services that we normally do not provide for a limited period of time, and I want to touch on those 3. The first is First Children Finance, and this is directed to daycare providers or perhaps someone who is exploring beginning a daycare service. It's 10 hours of consulting time from First Children Finance, and it helps a business owner or an entrepreneur look at things like rate schedules, marketing consultations, contract reviews, monthly expenses and revenue, staffing plans. So a wide variety of topics related to childcare facilities and the operational needs and best practices for those facilities. This comes at no cost to those daycare providers who want to avail themselves of this service, and we can talk about that individually as to how you would submit to utilize the services of First Children's Finance. And 10 hours isn't a lot of time. We recognize that. If that time is used up and there's still need for the business to have more time with First Children's Finance, the business owner can reapply for additional time. The second area that is now available relates to a lot of the stress that business owners, employees, family members have experienced during this pandemic. And we heard Larry Johnson talk a few minutes ago about pandemic fatigue that's setting in and some of the results of that. So this is an employee assistance program. It is a telephone-based assistance program, 5 sessions at 50 minutes each. It's intended to be short-term, but it includes some counseling, it includes some training, it includes 30 minutes of free legal consultation. If more is needed, then there's a discount that is given on future fees. It also includes 30 minutes of a CPA free consultation, and again, some discounts that are given on additional time that is needed. So again, if you're looking for something to help your employees, to help yourself as business owner, families, this EAP program is available to you, and it is highly confidential in terms of its application and the delivery of services. And then the third area that we have now available is a 1-year membership to restaurantowner.com. This is a well-renowned resource for restaurant owners. They do training programs around things like tracking costs, costing out menus, creating great customer experiences, financial issues, and they have a very robust video library that you can access on demand, free to 3 team members from any given restaurant. So again, we would encourage you to think about that or share that with someone that you know in the food service business, because we can make that service available for a year's free membership to those resources. In addition to that, the SEDP now in several of our regions, including the I-69 region, is offering webinars utilizing Google Classroom material. And so we are currently offering classes in Google, Get Your Business Found, on Google Search and Maps, on Google Ads, on using YouTube as a part of your marketing plan, and Google Analytics. You can find those webinars at our website, www.sbdcmichigan.org/training, and sign up for those. So feel free to take a look at the Google webinars as well as all of our other classes on our training site. And then lastly, we've developed a comeback kit. So as business owners are thinking about what are the steps I should take, in what order should I take those steps, what should be priority, this comeback kit is a self-study, so you can do it at your own time, at your own leisure, at your own speed, but you can still sign up for counseling and consulting from SBDC if you would like to, in conjunction with the comeback kit. But it is a self-study kit for business owners that are thinking through what their next steps would be in coming back post-pandemic. So those are some of the most recent things that we have. Some of them are time limited, particularly the restaurantowner.com, the First Children's Finance, and the Pine Rest Employee Assistance Program. The other things are more ongoing as our regular services. So I think I'll pause there, and if there's any questions, I'll be glad to take
Okay,
them.
great. Thank you, Cheryl. I don't know if you have anything to add to the Peters folks in regards to any of the programming, like the restaurant fund. Do you have any updates on that, or PPP or EIDL, or anything you want to share?
Sure. Just a couple of things. We know now that PPP has been extended to May 31st. So if you haven't applied yet, there still is time for you to do that. So that new deadline is May 31. Regarding the SBOG, the shuttered venue grant, our word from the SBA is they are expecting that their portal will be live April 8th, which is just a couple of days now. So if you know of someone or you are a shuttered venue, please go to the SBA.gov website. There is just a huge amount of information there to help you prepare for when that application window would open. In terms of the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, we don't have a date yet. The SBA keeps saying sometime in April. So I would expect that that will probably be what we would anticipate for that. And again, as information comes out about that, watch the SBA.gov website for frequently asked questions or other details about that program, because I think that there will be a significant number of applications early on when that portal opens. So anything that you can do to prepare yourself, like gross revenues in 19 versus 20, all of that kind of information, I would recommend that you have it readily available when the portal does open.
Great, thank you, Cheryl. And just an FYI for everybody, we're actually going to have a representative from the SBA Michigan District Office join our call next week. So we're going to hear straight from SBA officials on those programs. So you're going to want to make sure you tune in next week. Anybody have any comments or questions for Cheryl? It's *6 on your phone if you do. Okay, well, thank you, Cheryl. Always appreciate the partnership. You've done incredible work supporting small business in the last year, and just want to recognize you for that, for all that you've done, and appreciate that collaboration. Well, we're at 9:40. We've had a lot of speakers, some Q&A today, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time and get things wrapped up. Does anybody have any last-minute comments or questions they want to share at this point? Okay, well, thank you, everybody. That'll do it for today, as always. If anything comes up before next week, give us a holler, but hope you have a good week. Talk to you next week. Thanks.
Thank you.